Hey Internet, it's Jake from Mini Terrain Domain, and this is the Ghosts of Saltmarsh. Nope, it's Dawnbringers, the Ghosts of Saltmarsh, Season 3, Episode 10. A little episode I'm entitling Smugglers Run. And as you can tell, we are already punchy going into the game. Oh my gosh, it's gonna be it's gonna be something. I'll say that. Yeah, we're all back here for Thursday. We were here last week, weren't we? It's hard to tell because we have these periods of time where people are gone and we aren't here, and now we're here. And I think last week we were kind of punchy too, so that's okay. I think I know I've had a few days this week, and I know a few other people have. So we need a good, fun game of make believe. So we are. Yeah, Quinian says, "Have you guys been dipping into the punch early?" Yeah, let's just say yes. We'll say yes. So we are going to get started here in just a moment. I'm going to go through announcements really quickly. The ever important down below Megan in the corner, you will see the logos for Jasper's Game Day, an Initiative Coffee Company. You should still be able to see also the banners down below on Twitch. I know Twitch is in the process of making some updates to the way the overall format looks, so some of the stuff will be changing, but I believe it's still there for now. If not, if you look over in the chat, Fellowship of the Table has put the coffee link up there. You can also type !Jasper to get a direct donation link to Jasper's Game Day, with all funds raised going to benefit crisis centers around the country for suicide prevention. Initiative Coffee Company and Mini Terrain Domain have partnered to bring you Metade roast coffee, a medium Brazilian and Peruvian roast coffee that is absolutely delicious. And for every 12-ounce bag you purchase, $3 of that goes to benefit Jasper's Game Day. Pardon me, my eye feels very itchy, and there's no delicate way to rub my eye. And I can't ignore it. So there's that. So that eye rubbing incident was brought to you by D&D Beyond, where you can mouse over the Twitch stream and you will see all 5 of the wonderful Dawnbringers characters pop up on screen. From the left-hand side, you will see what their current hit points are. You can see some of them, like Fig and Cantriel, have temporary hit points. When they go into death saves, you can see that when they have certain conditions, or you can click on those characters. And Cantriel is showing, we fixed it. Cantriel is showing as viewable. Along with the others, there's a view character sheet on there, so you can see their full character sheet build. Thank you to Miko for resubscribing for 9 months, which brings me to our next thing. Also, real quick, thank you to D&D Beyond for giving us the insider access so that Mini Terrain Domain can be powered by D&D Beyond. So Tomiko has just resubscribed, and I just remembered as I'm looking at the weird format of your domain dice, when I flipped out pushing buttons last week, I accidentally took one of your domain dice away. And with Tomiko's resubscription, boom, you are now up another domain die. You are at 99 domain dice right now. Domain dice are a little thing that we've done so that you, the viewer, can have a little bit of a influence on what happens in the game for every subscription. Resubscription, raid, $5 tip, or 500-bit cheer. The players earn 1 domain dice for each of those instances, and those domain dice can be used to re-roll a d20 and take the new roll. Force me to re-roll a d20 and take the new roll. They can spend hit dice out of normal rest mode. They can turn failed death saving throws into successful death saving throws. And they can, of course, use 5 domain dice to turn a hit into a super crit. That is an automatic max double damage hit. And thanks once again to Spike for the 1,000-bit donation. So that I have to do a little bit of math. That's 2 domain dice. That puts you at 101 domain dice. So I'm going to do.
Does this mean we get puppies?
What?
Does this mean we get puppies? 101?
Oh, that took me longer than it should have. No, you don't get 101 puppies, but there are still 4 baby giant weasels out in the garden that are... Oh, sorry. 4 orphaned baby weasels that are out in the garden because of the orphan makers.
And one that was turned to gold.
Wait, what?
Didn't Fig
turned it to gold.
Oh, that's right. Oh my gosh. You guys are horrible.
No.
All while trying to ostensibly to
our PCs
do a good
may be
thing.
Questionable.
Yes, questionable. You're not horrible. You're just questionable. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is D&D. Okay. So, let me see. I got domain dice. Oh, the last thing, the most important thing. We're all sitting here. We're a little bit goofy. We're a little punchy. And we're going to be having fun for the next couple hours. But I do want to get serious for just a quick moment. If you are out there and you're struggling, you're finding that you just can't, and you need somebody to talk to, we want you to know first and foremost that we think you can, and we think that you are valuable, and we love you and want you to be around. So if you need help at any point, you can type !help in the chat, as Fellowship of the Table has just done for us to demonstrate. And you will see also, it's actually going by right at the moment down below, the National Suicide Hotline. In the United States, 24/7, you can call and talk to trained professionals who are waiting to take your call at 1-800-273-TALK. That's 1-800-273-8255, or you can text 741-741. In Canada, you can text CONNECT for English or parler in French to 686-868. Or 24/7 in French or English, you can call the toll-free number 1-833-456-4566. And that is in Canada. So please, use those numbers if you need them. Find somebody to talk to and get the help that's out there. Don't be afraid. There's no reason to be afraid. In fact, it's a brave thing to take that step and reach out and seek help. So, we are going to pick up exactly where we left off last week. Since arriving in Saltmarsh, the Dawnbringers have managed to inadvertently cause their captain, his crew, and 25 dwarves to get into some serious trouble. The traditionalists in town appear to have done a citizens' blockade and embargo against the Evangeline and her passengers, and are blocking the ship in the bay, preventing it from reaching the harbor or from going anywhere, and quarantining it under the pretense that there are disease-ridden passengers on board, potentially. Additionally, Captain Stark Dervish and some of his crew have been imprisoned in the local Saltmarsh jail under suspicion of slavery. The only way to prevent serious harm coming to the captain and his crew was for the Dawnbringers to take on the task for the council of saying, if not Dervish, then who, and following a lead up the coast to a supposedly haunted house that may or may not be the location of the actual slavers. En route, they encountered a lizard folk ambush that they made quick work of. And then they were, while scouting around the perimeter with Verde, Cantriel's older green fairy dragon, the fairy dragons flitting about attracted the attention of a couple of giant weasels in the overgrown grass of the garden, who came out and immediately attacked and were almost as quickly dispatched by Talmud. With 2 quick swings of his axe, he eliminated the threat. Turns out these giant weasels were a mated pair that were protecting their young. The young that showed up momentarily. A little bit of comedy ensued as Thorgarn wound up sticking his head into a burrow and got bit on the nose by one of the baby giant weasels. And apparently Fig turned one of the other ones to gold. So there's that. Then they went into the house, followed some footprints, and just made a beeline right for one of the rooms where they found a trap door. A voice yelled out at them in a sinister tone to beware. They did not beware. They instead went down the stairs, where they found some bandits and a scout hiding underneath some beds, potentially in the attempt to that they would go by and then they could ambush them. They made quick work of them, and they captured and interrogated the scout in particular. Ultimately, she gave them some information about what she could expect, what they could expect, what they could find. They gave this young woman 20 gold and a dagger and told her to get out of here and never come back. And she took off. And that is where we are now, in the basement of the supposed haunted house, the house on the hill. There's still a couple of doorways left unexplored, and they are told there is a secret passage that leads out of this into the caverns. Dawnbringers, what would you like to do?
To be fair, there's still one unconscious.
Yes.
Yes, that is true. So, as a refresher, the room that you are in is 30 feet north to south, and is about 60 feet or so east to west. There's a big long table with an assortment of chairs around it, the remnants of a meal. There was a cook pot, some pots that were in the process of being cleaned, 10 beds along the south wall, underneath which one of the or several of them were hiding. And yes, it is important to note that during the battle, Talmud took the ham that was hanging and ripped off a ham hock and used it as an improvised weapon to beat one of them to death, and then gave the bloody ham to the girl to have something to eat on the way. So you have this room. You know that there are 2 doors on the eastern side of the room. Though it was mentioned that there was a secret passage, I don't believe you actually learned where it was. Unless you can contradict me and tell me where it is.
No, but there's another hostage.
And there is another one of the bandits who is currently unconscious and tied up. The others are dead. Fellowship says, so he killed him ham-handedly. Excellent. All right. Hambringers, what would you like to do?
So what are we doing with this one?
I don't know. I took care of the first one. Have fun with that one.
You wanted one alive?
Well, I made sure the one was alive. Now we have 2 who are alive. The one's gone. see what this one can give us.
No, him. Thorgarn was begging for one of them to be left alive. Here you go. Delivered.
Oh, there you go.
Well, yes, it's delivered because I did it.
Well,
You,
great job.
You cleaved one in half, and Griveth ran the other one through with a sword.
I didn't cleave him in half. I hit him in the face and he fell down and, well, he didn't
He's
get
cleaved
back up.
himself.
So,
He hit his head. It's not my fault.
So do we revive this one and ask more questions to let another slaver go free? Do we kill him and try to find the secret passage on our own? Do we just leave him here and wander away on our own?
Take him as bait.
I doubt they'll really care much for one follower.
Well, there's not much sport in killing him the way he is right now.
So you want to wake him up and give him a fighting chance. Literally.
I'd be a lot more comfortable with it, yes. I don't have any questions I want to ask him.
I think we've heard all we need to hear. So the question is, what do we do with him?
Do we know how to get down into that cave?
That is a good point.
It
So
could
do we
save us a
wanna-
lot of time.
Right, so who wants to wake him up and be the bad cop?
All right, I walk over and I'll lay on hands for 1 hit point.
You see him try to move like he's going to put his hand to his head, and he realizes he's bound up. Where is this? What do you want?
How do we get down to the secret passage?
Who said anything about a secret passage?
Shut up and answer the question.
Which do you want? You want me to shut up or answer your question?
Oh, well, this one's a little bit smarter.
Tell us where the secret passage is and how to get through it.
Well, if one of you dwarves, if I understand it, you're good at finding and tunneling through things. So I suggest one of you bend over and the other one look up his ass. You'll find it.
All right, I already socked you in the groin with my hammer once. You want it again?
You do whatever you gotta do. I don't expect to make it out of this alive.
We let another one of you go. Perhaps my companions will want to let you go as well.
As you say that, he kind of looks at you questioningly for a moment, Fig, and then he looks around as if he's trying to discern who it is. With his position down on the ground, though, he can't really see. Who'd you let go?
A scrawny little fellow.
Don't matter. They'll either come back or they'll run until Son of Belay finds them. They're dead anyway.
We're gonna deal with Son of Belay.
You're a plucky bunch.
Confident.
I literally killed one of you with a ham.
Yeah, there's 5 of you. There was 5 of us. There's at least 20 down there in the caverns waiting for you.
Yep.
Now they know you're coming. You're gonna cut your way through 20, dwarf.
Yeah.
We've done larger with orcs.
Orcs. Orcs are stupid.
Well, I haven't seen anything to say the contrary for here, so. You've got some tricks mined, but nothing we ain't seen before.
So why did you join this lot?
Why did you join this lot? Sometimes you just find yourself with people, and they become your clan. They're who you work with, who you live with, who you eat, sleep with.
Are they your
Wait,
family?
you eat your clan?
You keep that mouth up like that, elf. You're liable to get made into elf pudding.
I wouldn't use
And-
that word around me, darling.
And how do you plan on doing that, tied as you are?
I didn't say I would do it.
I look around. I don't see any of your allies.
That's the way they like it.
Well,
For all you know, behind each one of those doors, crawling through the secret passages, are more and more of my clan, just waiting
well,
to
I
stick
hope
a
it's-
knife in the back of your throat, put an axe in the top of your head, or to hit you upside the head with a hammer of
I'm
their
gonna
own.
punch him. Just in the temple, just right in the side of the jaw.
All right. I gotta make you roll an attack because that's dumb. Roll a d4. Add your strength.
Okay. That's 7 points.
As you hit him, his head kind of bangs against the foot of the bed. Ugh. Ah. He spits a tooth out. That's a spirit, dwarf.
I was just tired of hearing you talk.
Quit asking me questions.
Fair enough. I'm gonna grab one of his legs, and I'm gonna start dragging him towards whatever door is nearby.
As he does so, can Fig just like follow behind him? And Fig wants to look at this guy, I imagine upside down as he's being dragged by Talmud. He would just see Fig's face just kind of pop up in front of him.
So, while the guy is being pretty much a jerk, he did say something that oh, it's possible that allies of his are lurking behind doors. So, I'm gonna try and be ready for anything, or at least be ready for a fight.
So, the only two visible doors are about 50 feet away to your east. So this whole big room is more or less rectangular. And then on the east wall, there's a section that's about 10 feet wide that goes in another 15 feet. That little section of, for lack of a better word, hallway, has a door on the east wall and a door on the north wall of it. And that's where you're dragging him to one of those doors, Talmud?
Yes, whichever door looks like it's either closest or the most intact.
They're both decent doors, so it's your pick, east or north.
North it is.
All right? And what are you going to do?
As Talmud is dragging him kind of away from where this conversation's been taking place, anybody who's paying attention can notice Talmud's kind of body language shift as his tattoos start to glow. And he just kind of starts and he's like starts skipping as he's dragging this guy closer to the door.
Fig is going to approach this guy while he's being dragged and follow and just, Can I ask you a question?
He's just kind of looking at Talmud, who I would like to make an intimidation check. And he's looking at you up above. And I'm actually going to have you make an intimidation check, Fig. I know it's not necessarily intentional, but you are a mechanical man, and he's looking at you from the floor upside down.
I got a 12.
I got a 16.
He's showing the first signs of, the closer you get to the door and the more you start laughing, Talmud, he's starting to struggle a little bit. And he just is looking up wide-eyed at you, Fig. You're crazy.
I'm curious, and I would like to know a little bit about your thought before you inevitably die. Why do you want to die for these people?
What are you talking? It's the life. But it's not that I
What
want
do
to
you
die.
mean?
I expected to die, but I'm kind of having second thoughts now.
Talmud puts his hand on the door jamb and slams the door shut.
So you open up the door and then go into this room?
Just on the edge of it, just putting his hand on the door jamb and shutting the door on his hand.
Wait.
On the guy that you're dragging's hand, right? Or
Yeah.
your own.
Yeah, no, the guy that I'm dragging.
Oh, so you're dragging him into this room.
Just his fingers, just lifting his hand up, putting it on the door jamb, and slamming the door on his hand.
Okay. Make a strength check.
So while Talmud is doing that, Griveth kind of sees what's going on, so he walks over near Talmud, draws Sir Bradford's honor, and holds it ready and kind of whispers, "Seek the enemy," kind of whispers to the sword. Okay, sorry.
Yeah, and the intention was
Well-
me doing that while Fig was talking to him. Sorry.
Okay. And so what'd you get for your strength check? Talmud?
Sorry, I put it in the chat. 21.
So as you are doing this and you kind of go into this room, you just sort of walk in just enough to push so you can get in to get to the door and pull his hand in, and figure asking him this question. He's saying, it's the life. I was expecting to die, but I'm not sure I was. What is wrong?
Fig is going to bend down, like just kind of crouch like a parent who's like talking to a child, just bends down. That's very interesting that you were so brave when we were offering to let you go in response to information. But now that you have received pain, you are not so brave. Is that not the life?
Look, it's not about. It's no bravery. It's. Look, you're gonna kill me anyway. I'll just tell you. Just stop. Please. There's two. He's looking up at you, Talmud, seeing that look in your face and seeing maybe your hands just sort of tense on the door jamb again. There's two. There's two secret passages. This is Sanibele's room. This here, next to the fireplace to the north, and then all the way in the southwest corner is a passage to the caverns. Know this. They're waiting for you. They're waiting for you. All of them are waiting.
Talmud kind of turns to look at Fig, and it's not Talmud's face. It's, this blue glowing gas that's kind of protruding just a few centimeters out away from Talmud's actual face. What are we going to do? We're going to kill him.
May I speak with Talmud, please?
Fine. Bah! The ghost kind of dissipates and the tattoos start glowing. And Talmud's kind of, Ooh. Oh, hi, Fig.
Hello.
This guy's really hurt.
Yes, one of your ancestors, I believe, was keen on torturing him.
Oh.
I felt like that was not the best course of action.
Bit unexpected there, Talmud.
No, well, sorry.
He told us some information that is equally valuable to the girls. Should we let him go too?
What's your name?
He's looking around in this awkward position, trying to figure out who's talking to him. And then he's looking upside down at you now, Thorgarn. Teo. My name's Teo.
Teo? We let you go. What are your plans? You ready to start a new life? You gonna go back to this?
I can't say what I'll do, but it'll be far away from here. I don't want to be anywhere near this.
It's not good enough for me. What about the rest of you?
We're not gonna murder him. And I lean over and gently touch his hand and heal it. How much will that take?
To heal him?
Mm-hmm. Heal his hand.
I mean, really, I would say, let's see how badly it's broken. It's going to take 4 hit points to heal his broken hand.
Okay, I do that.
As you reach down and touch him, there's this, he's already sort of favoring his hand, just holding it up. And you see as the couple of broken fingers just sort of, but I imagine with your divine magic, this is a painless healing. You hear the sound like somebody cracking their knuckles. Ah! What'd you do that for? She could torture me some more. You promise you're gonna let me go, and then you heal me up, and then you're gonna break me some more.
We're not gonna break you anymore.
Why, is that something son of a bitch would do to you?
We just need you to promise that you will leave here and not come back.
He looks first to Cantriel. Son of Belay.
I like son of a bitch better.
He don't bother with magical healing. Let you heal on your own before they beat you down again.
Oh, what a gem. My type. To kill.
Look, and he looks to you, Griveth. I don't know who you are, but I want nothing to do with you.
Fair enough.
And if you all are here to deal with the likes of Son of Belay and the crew of the Sea Ghost, I got no business with you or with them.
Smart answer.
And he's still almost disbelievingly, he's flexing that hand. So now what?
So I lean down and begin untying him. And as I do so, I just kind of like say, plainly with as little emotion as I possibly can, although like Thorgarn is kind of dialed up at this whole, this whole conversation. He's really not happy with the little bit of torture that Talmud's ancestor did. I was like, all right, you're gonna leave, that's fine, but don't let us hear or see that you're doing anything illegal ever again.
Assuming you will make it out of this having won, I don't want to be anywhere near here when you come out.
So after I finish untying him, I'm going to go over and kind of begin looking in the fireplace.
Thorgarn, make an intimidation check or persuasion if that was your.
I think they're both the same. That's a 12.
He looks at you all as you sort of. Talmud still standing just inside that room. His demeanor completely changed. Fig sort of in that, I imagined almost like a Slavic crouch, where he was crouching over this man. Griveth standing there, sword drawn. Thorgarn looking emotionless. Cantriel, who I imagine just leaning against one of the support posts of the cellar, arms crossed, just watching. Just giving that sort of, you brought this on yourself kind of look. He looks around at all of you, and he makes his way very cautiously moving through your group. As he passes by towards the stairs and passes by one of the bodies of his fallen comrades, he looks down at the scimitar on the ground. And then he looks back at all of you, and you see him kind of just nod or shake his head a little bit. And he slowly walks up the stairs, keeping his eyes on all of you. And this whole time, he's sort of still flexing that hand. And just before he leaves, he's just looking at you. Who in the nine hells are you?
Somebody say
There is a name for us. They call us the Dawnbringers.
And that's where we're going to end. No, I'm just kidding.
We bring light to the darkness. We bring justice to the downtrodden. And sometimes we collect their gold.
Scotty, make a performance check, just for fun.
Okay. 12.
All right. He just looks at you all, and just like with the woman before, you hear the trapdoor open and close. You hear the voice hollering out, seeming to be automatically triggered, and then you hear doop, 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 footsteps overhead, and then you hear a door, and then nothing. All right, so Thorgarn, Fig appears to have a blink spell activated, phasing in and out of the ethereal plane. Thorgarn says he's going over to the fireplace to take a look. Talmud, you are standing in a room that is about 15 feet wide and 20 feet deep, north to south. You realize now that in this room there are some furnishings in there. The room you are in is... you actually notice this room sits in stark contrast to the rest of the house. Kind of in the aftermath of this scene, and after this, Teo has left and ran up the stairs. You just sort of, it's like you just kind of glance around, and then you're like, oh, wait. And you realize there's really nice, well-kept furniture in this room. Comfortable looking bed is in the northwest corner that has a wooden footlocker at the foot of it. There's a small wooden table against the east wall with a nice padded leather chair beside it. On the table is a brass 3-branch candelabra with 3 burning candles that's kind of casting this room in a nice, warm, bright light. You can smell that that scent of wax from the candles. That sort of they have that smell of hand dipped beeswax candles. And you can tell, even just looking at them, these candles are tall. They're fresh candles. They haven't been burning for a long time. Under the table is a small wooden box, and there's an unlit bullseye lantern sitting next to it. And on the shelf above the table are 3 books. In the northeast corner is a closed wooden wardrobe.
I have a feeling Fig and Cantriel will be like, books.
Oh, you guys.
But Cantriel's also hitting every piece of furniture along the way.
I know, I'm looking at the side chat. Say no to mimics. I sincerely doubt there would be a mimic here.
She
Little did
doesn't
they know.
care.
I also see a nice splorch in there.
Aren't splorches by gelatinous cubes, not mimics?
Yes, and gelatinous cubes typically hang out in dungeons, but this is a basement. So that Talmud is what you see in the room, and Fig, you and Griveth would kind of catch a glimpse of this from your vantage points near the door. Talmud, over by the fireplace, give me an investigation check.
You mean Thorgarn?
Yes, that's what I said.
Oh, my hearing must be messed up because I heard Talmud.
You probably heard right.
That is a 16 because I rolled a 16 on the die.
All right. So, Thorgarn, as you are looking around by the fireplace, you find that the fireplace itself doesn't hold any secrets, but as you're exploring around it, you notice that a section of the wall to the east of it is displaced slightly. Simply pushing on it causes a catch to release, and then this section of wall just sort of towards you, revealing a secret door heading to the north.
I am not certain what those other 2 are doing, but once I get the door open, I turn and look towards my party and realize that they've all gone into this other room. So I will go to try and see what they're up to.
Okay, so you've identified the secret door, but you're not exploring it.
Correct.
Okay. All right, so yeah, you found a small room that appears to be well kept with, as I have previously described it. So what are you guys doing in the room besides tapping everything to make sure it's not a mimic? Everything feels solid. Nothing is sticking. There's no splorching sounds. Everything appears to legitimately be what it looks like.
Okay, but I take my rapier and like stab it like a few times at the bed just to really be sure.
Fair enough.
Just make sure you're not what I think you are.
Yeah, Talmud's kind of gonna give her a look like.
Well, Cantriel was the one that had the
Absolutely. A little PTSD.
Yeah. A little bit.
Yeah, Talmud's gonna approach the armoire
And it starts singing, right?
It might.
Yeah.
Yeah, you managed to plunge your rapier into the bedclothes and puncture the mattress. There's no squeals, no sticking. Nothing happens.
Like, is there feathers floating out? That'd be hysterical. It's just like,
Yeah, after a couple of stabs, there's just this couple little feathers floating
Oh,
about.
wait, this is Saltmarsh. It was totally a waterbed.
There's
Just
now
checking.
just the little arc of the laminar flow of water just going.
I'll quickly do mending. What? Just making sure. Nothing to see here.
All right. So anybody that's looking around this room, go ahead and give me an investigation check.
I'm not really investigating. I'm just kind of watching everybody else.
22.
24 for
24.
Fig.
I got an 8, but I'm actually not intending on like necessarily searching the room for anything in particular. Talmud is thinking that there might be someone hiding in that armoire. So that's what he's looking for.
All right. So you you open up the armoire with the expectation of finding possibly somebody inside. But all you find are, as you open it, are a variety of common clothes of a nicer variety. It's kind of like in Skyrim when you click on the wardrobe and all you find are children's clothes, a pair of worn shoes, that kind of thing. It's all clothing you could take if you wanted, though it's not dwarven sized. Cantriel.
Wait a second. So you're saying this is not like a video game where, like, I find something and it's automatically my size, no matter
Right.
who has it?
Only magical items. Okay. So, of everything that was described in the room, Fig and Cantriel, where particularly would you focus your attention? There was the table, the desk, the bookshelf, the footlocker. Who's looking where?
Probably Cantriel would head towards the desk, knowing Fig would go for the books.
Yeah, that's exactly. Fig
Yeah.
would definitely go for the bookshelf.
Okay, Fig.
Uh-oh.
There are 3 books that appear to hold some sort of value. There is a fully illustrated volume of erotic poetry. There is a naval almanac listing the tide times for the area of coast around Saltmarsh that covers about 100 miles of coastline, detailing through the seasons, through various times of day, all of that kind of thing. And then there is a treatise concerning the demigod Luz and its minions, or Ayuz and its minions. And flipping through that last book, you would find a sheet of parchment that has a few simple words and phrases that are written in common. And what languages do you speak, Fig?
Fig speaks Abyssal, Common, Dwarvish, and Elvish.
So you're not sure exactly what this other language is, but it's very crude. But the common translations for these words are stop, fight, lift, come, rest, work. Simple one word. It seems to be a sort of makeshift translation guide for whatever this language is. You can surmise that depending on who you could find to buy them, they could be worth upwards of 10 gold pieces each. though that book of illustrated erotic poetry is priceless. And that's straight out of the guide. I didn't create that item. I'm just saying that's in the adventure module.
I think that Fig would flip through it, and if you've never seen a robot blush, that you have now.
Something wrong there, Fig?
I imagine there's this point where Fig is opening the book and then turns it sideways and then turns it upside down, cocks his head, and then kind of does this, oh no, closing it suddenly as you realize what you're looking at.
No, just some reading material that I do not find very interesting at all, ever.
All right. That's rare. And she'll hold her hand out. What?
He would give it to her, but he would also give her the parchment. Do you know what language this is?
What are your languages?
That's a very good question. Celestial, Common, Draconic, Dwarvish, and Elvish.
You don't recognize it.
This one is beyond me. And then she'll look at the book. This one, however, we're just going to tuck this away. And she'll put it into her backpack.
Okay, Cantriel, you have a volume of erotic poetry fully illustrated. Hot brimstone. It's been a while.
No.
Edgar Allan Smut.
Edgar Allan, oh no. Talmud, I should say though, you did manage to find a fancy floor-length oilskin coat hanging in the wardrobe, with the sleeves actually have numerous pockets in them, like on the inside. They're empty, and it is trimmed in an iridescent green silk. It's a pretty flashy coat. And looks like it's worth a few gold pieces. It could be worn by a medium-sized humanoid as well.
Cantriel or Fig? Would you be interested in this very shiny garment?
It's mostly dull, but like this sort of dull. I mean, it's fancy, but it's the trimming all around it has that iridescent. I imagine it looking a lot like the spectral shawl you were wearing at the top of the stream, Jeremy.
That
Nice.
might actually be a good one for you, Fig, if it's what I think it is.
Coat?
Well,
So
if it
would you say
repels
it's about-
water.
It
You
is
say it's
being an
about
oilskin coat. It is essentially a
Raincoat.
fantasy raincoat with lots of pockets in the sleeves.
It has pockets?
Yes, the insides of the sleeves have pockets inside them.
How would Fig feel about that? Would Fig feel constrained in light clothing?
I think he would be a little bit puzzled. I can imagine that Talmud gives this to him, and at first he's, well, I do not have any need for clothes as per usual, and then he just like puts it on in like this flourish, and he's gonna try and find a reflective surface. And once he does so, you see that he takes a little bit too long, just kind of like turning, just kind of looking at it.
There's absolutely a good size, probably like 3-foot oval polished metal mirror. It's got a little bit of like water staining around the edges, but you can absolutely see your reflection. I'm suddenly picturing Futurama when Bender has a trench coat on. Now I just need Fig at some point to say, "Bite my shiny metal butt."
So would you say about this time is where, Thorgarn would come in, or am I still investigating the fireplace?
Yeah, anytime you want to come in. I got to get to what Cantriel finds at the same time.
Oh yeah, then go for it.
Cantriel, so kind of during this as well, you were investigating around the table, and you found that the wooden box that was underneath it has 12 candles in it, flint and steel, a piece of parchment that I'll tell you what it says in a minute, that seems to be detailing a set of signals that utilize the bullseye lantern that is sitting there next to it. It has this sort of barn door flap over the end. It appears that the intention is to light a candle, put it in the lantern, and create. And I will put this in the chat so you have it as a reference. But this piece of parchment says long, short, short, short means, is it safe? Short, long means everything's safe. Long means ready to unload, come to the ship. I'm going to drop this. Actually, I just realized as I'm copying it, I was about to give you guys some DM notes. So I'm not going to copy the whole thing. I'll give you each line.
We would forgive you if it was. It's okay.
Curse my terrible vision. And the last line is here. Okay. Additionally, because you rolled like a 20-something, right, when you were investigating, as you are pulling this box out and you grab the lantern, you sort of bump against the bottom of the table, and a section of the bottom of the table goes, it drops about 4 or 5 inches on a hinge, and it's at an angle. And there's a piece of wood there that is holding inside that little secret compartment a book. And this book has a green leather binding on it with gold, the gold lines that go along it. And there is some sort of arcane sigil on the cover, but no words. And looking inside, you see lots of glyphs and arcane writing. The ink has a sort of iridescent look about it. This appears to be some sort of spell book. Looking, let's see, you are...
Artie.
You're double caster class, right? Because you're Bard Ranger, aren't
Ranger,
you?
yeah. Yeah.
Give me an Arcana check.
Oh, sure. I don't mind. That's a +9 as it is. So that's going to be 26.
Okay. You recognize that the spells written within here are wizard spells.
Oh, Fig.
You see Fig is still admiring himself in the mirror, but
Fig, darling, you gave me a book. I think you deserve one for yourself. This one, it might be of especially good use to you.
Spot for
Fig
spells.
will come over and take it and have a look. What sorts of things? Spells?
Okay, so of course it takes you time and gold to learn certain spells, but basically, as you know, as a wizard, you can copy spells that you find into your own spell book and then know those if you don't already know them.
That's right. And I believe because of the type of wizard I am, it takes me either half the time or half the gold.
If it's conjuration, you're transmuter, right?
Transmute. Yeah.
Is that for transmuters or just for transmutation magic?
It should be just for transmutation.
It should be just for transmute. If it's a transmutation spell, it costs half as much time and gold. All other spells are normal.
Okay.
I will put these in the chat for you. You found Magic Mouth, Scorching Ray, Charm Person, Color Spray, Magic Missile, Silent Image. Can you learn cantrips this way too? I never play casters.
I don't think so.
I think the nature
My
of
first time playing a wizard. So.
Well, I'm going to supply what cantrips are in there as well, just in case. Because it does have the Dancing Lights, Minor Illusion, and Ray of Frost. So, there you go.
Figwood. Oh, Trail, these are very, very great. I shall begin copying them at once.
So,
Well,
what did we?
as soon as
what-
I can.
Yes, thought
uh,
that might be handy for you.
So what's going on in here? I thought we were, going to the fireplace.
Yes, we're also finding some useful things before we go into the fireplace. Did you already check it?
Yep, got the door open and everything. Anything useful in here?
Well, Fig just got a nice new book.
Oh,
I just
that's
got this handy
And
little
a coat.
lantern and a coat.
fantastic. So, I see no one's opened the footlocker yet. What's the deal with that thing?
You could check that out if you want.
I'll head over to that.
Alrighty. Mhm. So you go ahead and open that, and inside you find mostly an assortment of this seems to be like a traveler steamer trunk. There's a few more clothes in there that weren't unpacked. Nothing as fancy as the jacket. And you find about 50 gold pieces and a dozen silver pieces in there in a coin purse.
So, bunch of clothes. I'm gonna just assume that they smell and need to be cleaned. But found some coins.
In
Well,
a,
good. At least this won't be a total bust then.
So,
you did notice that there is a door on the east wall right near this door, like 5 feet away.
do we want to check the last room before we move on, or
I
do we want
mean,
to just?
couldn't hurt.
All right.
Splorch. Just kidding. I'm sorry, when V said couldn't hurt, I had to.
Didn't say we'd go into the room, guns blazing, not looking or anything. Hey.
All right. So, I will listen at the door. See if there's anything on the other side.
Give me a perception check.
It was a 16.
As you listen, you can hear soft breathing of your companions waiting to see what you discover. You don't hear anything else.
Well done.
No, you don't hear anything on the other side. It's quiet.
All right. So I open the door.
You open up the door. It's dark in here. This room appears to be the full length, or you can guess that it goes the full length of north to south as the most of the basement. So it's about 30 feet. It looks to be about 15 feet across. The only light in this room seems to come from the light spilling in from outside. So the whole northern half of this room is shrouded in darkness. But you are a dwarf.
Aye.
And with your dwarven eyes, you can see in the shadows that it looks like in this room that there is some old furniture that has like old heavy cloth draped across it. Some of it's partially showing. And there's a few other forms in the room, about a half a dozen of which are slowly rising from the floor with a creaking, cracking sound as 6 skeletons begin to shamble across the room towards you. At the same time, from the northeast corner of the room, the skeletons weirdly begin to almost take on a backlit look, as you can see what appears to be the frame of a door or a hidden panel in eerie blue light, surprisingly similar in hue to Fig's arcane magic, seems to be growing brighter as the skeletons begin to close in towards you. And we're going to roll for initiative when we return from a 10-minute break. This seems like a good place to take a break a little bit early. Plus, my wife just got home after a trip, and I want to go say hi to her real quick. So we're going to take our usual 10-minute break. When we come back, we'll see the Dawnbringers make short work of these skeletons, I'm sure, and see what else they can get up to as they are searching for the smugglers and the slavers. Thank you for tuning in tonight. We'll be back in just a few minutes with the Dawnbringers Ghosts of Saltmarsh. Hey internets, it's Jake from Mini Terrain Domain, and this is The Intermission. Mini Terrain Domain, or MTD, is a channel dedicated to the love of and participation in the world of tabletop role-playing games. Whether we're designing encounters or miniature terrain, building worlds or dice towers, or just playing games, everything we do here is because we love this amazing hobby. That is why the mission statement of Mini Terrain Domain is simply imagine, build, play. If you like to watch live play or actual play D&D games, you can do so at twitch.tv/Mini Terrain Domain 3 days a week at 8:30 p.m. Eastern. On Sundays, you can join us for Cult of Personality, a long-running campaign set in the Tomb of Annihilation adventure setting. On Mondays, you can join us for All That Glitters, a Waterdeep Dragon Heist campaign guaranteed to be epic proportions. And every Thursday night, you can join us for Dawnbringers, the Forge of Fury. This is a series of mini campaigns going across the gamut of several well-known modules. Season 1, which is available on youtube.com/Mini Terrain Domain, took place in the Sunless Citadel, and Season 2 is currently taking place in the Forge of Fury. If you can't join us in the chat for our live shows, that's okay. You can usually catch the roleplay, or rather the replay, on YouTube just 2 days later. If you're a fan of what we do here and you like to support what we do, there are a variety of ways you can do this. First, simply follow the Twitch channel or hit the subscribe button on YouTube. Next, make sure you follow all of the participants of each game or show on their various social media platforms. To do this, if you're watching live with us on Twitch, you can simply type an exclamation point and that person's name into the Twitch chat, or on YouTube, you can look down below the information bar and all of their links can be found there. Finally, if you would like to provide monetary support, which flows right back into the production of the channel so we can continue making great content, you can join the growing list of patrons on Patreon. Additionally, you can also use Ko-Fi or Coffee to buy a coffee or two. I like coffee. But the absolute best way to support the channel is to follow and subscribe on Twitch and YouTube and join us in the chat. If you have an Amazon Prime account and you link it to your Twitch account, you can subscribe to one channel per month absolutely free. No matter what you decide to do, we are just happy to have you here. Thanks for watching, and stay tuned for more great content in just a few moments. Remember, metadata!
Hi everyone, I'm V, and I have the YouTube channel, The Crafting Muse. Please be sure to go over there and check it out if you too would like to learn how to make some tabletop terrain, paint miniatures, as well as some game accessories. I'm always happy to have new subscribers over there.
Learn the ways of the Game Master, the Dungeon Master, and delve into the minds of the players. If you're looking for adventure, excitement, thrills, and a dice-rolling good time, grab the modules each month and play the campaign with your gaming group with quest givers DM Scotty and DMG. They're taking you on an epic journey through the role-playing experience every Friday. You're sure to get hooked on adventure.
And we really liked the idea of creating adventures together, so we thought that'd be a lot of fun to share with you guys.
I didn't think this kind of stuff would come out of my brain. We are quest givers, and I'll see you in the next video.
Adventure Mixtape, a music and adventure anthology, is a collection of 4 adventures for the 5th edition of the world's most popular role-playing game. The adventures are setting neutral and meant to be seamlessly dropped into any world that has a large seaside city and a jungle environment. With a bit of adaptation, the environments could be changed to suit any group. In Treaty of the Tiger King by Kelsey Dion of the Arcane Library, a distant king arrives at the city to negotiate the peaceful end of a war, but the mercenary guild has other insidious plans for him. Will the players be able to thwart assassination attempts against King Rami and help him negotiate circles of social intrigue in order to finally end the war? In Madness of the Majestic Menagerie by Ken Brees of Burling's Beard, the famous Majestic Menagerie draws hordes of visitors to the metropolis and cultural hub known since time immemorial as Splendor by the Sea. But now the gates of the famous zoo have been shut, and the grand opening of the new section has been jeopardized by a spate of mysterious accidents and, it's whispered, grievous injuries due to uncontrollable creatures. Mr. Majestic seeks to hire investigators and troubleshooters who can keep a low profile to iron out any problems before the impending grand opening becomes a complete disaster. Do you have what it takes to uncover what's driving the madness that's befallen the Majestic Menagerie? In The Infernal Collection by Sharang Biswas, when an influential fashion designer is found dead days before a major fashion show, heroes are called in to solve the mystery, prevent any further destruction, and help the fashion house prepare for the show. Gorillas in Their Midst by Jacob W. Norman of Mini Terrain Domain is a pulp action adventure wrought with perilous challenges and a high possibility of death. But what is adventure without danger? Of course, there is the lure of vast piles of unclaimed treasure and the accompanying fame that await those intrepid adventurers who would defy the odds and plunge into the heart of darkness. In this adventure, the characters will face raging river rapids, wicked waterfalls, poisonous plants, venomous vines, sinking sands, treacherous traps, and the vicious jungle demon itself, Awakane Gori. Grab your satchels, fedoras, and bullwhips. Adventure awaits. The Adventure Mixtape also comes with 4 original songs inspired by and written for the heroic adventures herein. This collection of music and story is something unique. We had no better word for it than mixtape. If you ever received a cassette, CD, or digital playlist curated to take you on a memorable journey, then you'll recognize what you find inside this volume. Also included in the Adventure Mixtape, courtesy of Kelsey Dion of the Arcane Library, are exclusive combat cards. Special cards that contain all of the items, monsters, and spellcasters found within these adventures to make running your adventure all the more easier. Adventure Mixtape, a music and adventure anthology, is available exclusively on drivethrurpg.com.
Cryfall, once home to the most wondrous kingdom the world had ever known, blasted to nothing in just a fortnight. It is here that the fiends of hell walk among us. It is here where all things die. Welcome to Cryfall. Demon invaders roam the landscape and have conquered all. The world is a ravaged and wrathful wasteland where the old world lies buried beneath the blood and sand with its gods and its secrets. Water is fought over with blood and steel. Compatible with the 5th edition of the world's oldest fantasy role-playing game, this This book contains all new character creation options, including all of the familiar classes with new aspects befitting the ravaged wastelands of Griveth, along with new backgrounds, subclasses, spells, feats, and so much more. New races will allow you to play as the Cursed Ash Elves, the Forsaken Humans, the Primordial Incarnal, the Proud Orcs, the Reptilian Suri, or the Infernal-Blooded Tieflings. New game mechanics such as blood, grit, and effort give your games an intense focus on lethality and survival. Numerous roll tables full of ideas to help bring your games to life. Featuring incredible thematic art by Brandish Gilhelm of Runehammer Games, as well as Lloyd Collins. The people of Griveth are not heroes. In Griveth, it is courage just to survive. Will you rise to face the tide of demons, or will you succumb to the hostile elements? Available now on DriveThruRPG.com.
And we're back. Dawnbringers, roll for initiative.
I got a 2.
Whoops. That wasn't a whoops to your 2. That was a whoops to something
I
I
rolled
wrote.
a 2, so I got a 6.
All right, I gotta roll some dice here. Let's see. So that's a... What's this? All right, Griveth, what'd you get?
20.
Cantriel.
I got a 6.
Big, got a 2. Wait, a 2? What is your dex? What's your initiative score? +1?
+1? Yeah.
Oh boy. Thorgarn.
I also have a 6.
Talmud?
16.
Okay. Cantriel, what's your dex score? Dex mod?
3.
Thorgarn?
1.
Alright, so 1. And Talmud, what's your dex?
I believe it is a 2. Hang on just a second. Yes.
All right, here is your batting order. Griveth, you are, of course, going to go first, followed by Talmud. The Skellies are going to go. And then Cantriel. And Thorgarn. And lastly will be Fig. So, in this room that is 15 feet by 30 feet long, so less than 30 feet away from you, are 6 humanoid skeletons. Griveth, what would you like to do? You're muted, Scotty.
I'm going to say something. I am going to turn undead.
Okay.
So they need to make a wisdom DC 14. Or they run away.
Let's see. That is a nat 20 on their will save, the wisdom save. Wow, I haven't done that in ages. Oh, Jeremy's pointing up. Cantriel saying re-roll. I think you guys want to spend 2 domain dice.
Sure, let's do it.
So let's see. That puts you back at 99.
Let's scare the skellies.
All right. So back at 99.
With the holy power
You
of
know.
Eldath.
That is a wisdom save of 17 now.
Flowing over there.
What was the
like
DC?
holy water. 14.
So they appear to not be intimidated by your holy powers.
Okay. How many were intimidated?
0.
Oh, 0? What?
Well, hold on a second. Hold on.
There were 6 and they all made their
Yeah,
save?
hold on, because I was rolling them as a group, and I never do that. That's fair. So,
I even did a song.
so that's a fail. That's a fail.
Yes.
That's a fail.
Yes.
Three. So half of them turn,
Okay.
and half of them do not. So you see 3 of them that keep shuffling, and 3 more of them stop and actually start moving backwards. But they can't move very far because there's furniture and a wall back there. So you did turn 3 of them.
Cool. All right. I'm just going to be on guard and pass it over to Talmud.
And so with the turn undead, they cannot move closer to you.
And they can't attack until they're attacked.
They can't attack you, or they can't attack anyone.
Anyone.
Okay. Good to know. Talmud. You got six bags of bones.
And 3 of them are cowering.
3 of them are not moving forward. They're sort of backed up against the wall.
Hey, Talmud, attack the ones that aren't moving forward.
Great plan. Okay. So Talmud reaches for Ghost Cleaver and then kind of looks at the situation and says, No. Pulls out Gerta. This would be much, much better in this situation, I think. And he kind of steps past Griveth and approaches the first skeleton and is going to swing at it.
One quick second. I need to check something.
Sure.
Nope, never mind. You're good.
Thanks.
Continue.
That's an 18 on the first one.
An 18 will hit.
Excellent. Okay. That is 9 points of bludgeoning damage.
You swing Gerta around in a mighty arc, and there is a shattering sound as you knock out much of its rib cage. You don't kill it, but you break a lot of bones. The bones appear to almost turn to dust. These skeletons seem very, very old, and they seem very susceptible to Gerta's attacks.
Truthfully, who isn't? But I will make a second of Gerta's attacks. Oh, I'm going to reroll because that's a 1 and I don't want that. So I'm going to spend a domain die. That's better. That one's followed by a 7, so that means that's a 24 to hit.
That absolutely hits. Same one or a different one?
Same one. That is 10 points of bludgeoning.
Swinging Gerta around, your hammer shatters the spinal column, and this skeleton collapses in a heap of bones at your feet.
There we go.
You all notice that the light that is coming from that there's enough light now coming of this blue light from the northeast corner that you can I forgot what I was going to say, what you could tell about it, but it's getting brighter, and it's definitely has an arcane glow about it, but it is it's the skeleton's turn. Scotty, on that turn undead, do they get to make the save again, or is it just for the duration? I forget how. For some reason, I think because it's a class ability, I'm not seeing the turn undead. You're a Patty. If you said anything, I can't hear you.
Sorry, it's for 1 minute. They don't get a save. It just lasts for a minute.
What kind of paladin are you again?
Protection.
Protection. But I mean, what's your oath? Because protection is your style, right?
Yeah.
But what's your oath? Devotion?
Devotion, ancients, vengeance.
We'll figure that out.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
Anyway, so they don't make another save. That's all I needed to know.
Yeah, they don't make anyone for a minute. Yeah, they're free after a minute.
Those three are still, of course, cowering, but there's two more skeletons, one of which is going to attack Talmud, since he rushed up. And he is going to attack Talmud with a short sword. And that is going to be a 21 to hit. So this one comes up, swings at you. It's almost unfair that I'm rolling max damage on a Dawnbringer die against you, but it's 8 points of slashing damage. And the other one comes up, and with Talmud, with you being in the front, they're coming at you.
Am I close enough to deflect?
You stepped into the room and you turned. You didn't move up to them because you do your turn from a distance. And Talmud moved into the room to engage them, so you would not be close enough to deflect. He's going to be a good 15 feet away from you. It doesn't matter because this one got an 11 to hit, which I'm certain is going to miss Talmud. That then brings us to... Whoops. I hit the wrong button.
I thought you were going
I'm a devotion. I'm devotion. Just a...
Okay, good to know. Good to know.
Yeah, I think the Turn the Unholy is a devotion ability. That's where I've been able to find it for the Paladin, is underneath that devotion, or that oath, rather. It's called Turn the Unholy, because you can apply it to fiends as well.
Yep. Yeah, and you've used that feature before, I believe. No, that's fine. There's so many different ways you can turn undead, and they have different fear effects have different rules. It scared me enough that I hit the wrong button. Anyway, that was a bad joke. Somebody please go. Cantriel. Sorry, I thought I said your name.
No, like what?
I don't know what happened. I got flustered because I hit the wrong button, and then I made a dumb joke.
Okay, that'll do it. That'll do it. All right, so I just want to make sure the layout going on here. We have 3 that are still turned to the wall.
3 that are 30 feet away against the back wall. They're sort of harshly illuminated from the side by this arcane light that's coming around the edges of this door.
Okay.
And then you have 3 more that had advanced a little bit into the room. Talmud is more than halfway into the room, has killed one of them, and 2 of them are attacking him. Griveth is just inside the room where he did the Turn the Unholy.
Well, shoot, what I want to do is not going to work because of Talmud running in all the time. Let me see.
Barbarian.
Oh no. Okay, what I'm going to try and do is cast Shatter. Because that's the radius sphere. So I'm going to put it right over the 3 who are kind of like trying to run away but can't.
Okay.
So yeah, so so that is, you have to do a Constitution saving throw. So Cantriel is going to she's going to start shaking her hands and making like this very grating sound along her rapier, like using the what's that called? The part that covers the hand. Why am I blanking on that one? Like she's making this irritating like
Basket.
nails. Thank you. The
The
basket.
guard. Yeah, okay.
The basket. She's making this irritating, like nails on a chalkboard sound with it. And skeletons, come out and play with us. And she's going to cast Shatter. So it's hovering this 10-foot radius sphere over where those three are trying to zoom away.
Which that is a con save, I believe.
Correct. Against a 14.
All right, I will do this right this time. 3 dice for 3 saves. Con save. DC what?
14.
So that's going to be... it looks like we've got a 5, so that's a fail.
Uh-huh.
A 14 and
makes.
a 18. So 2 of them succeeded, but one of them, as they're scrabbling against this wall, one of them just goes...
Cool.
Because how much damage do you do?
I just did 18 total.
Yeah.
And then the 2 who made this save take half.
So what actually happens is take half, so it's 9 and 9. And the one, you don't kill him completely, but you watch as like ribs shatter, part of its shoulder blade and one of its arms shatters. It's literally like its pelvis is just spinal column with no ribs, and one arm, and its lower jaw is gone. Half of the skull is gone, and it's just... But you also shattered part of the wall where that blue light was emanating, and now a bright spectral light is flooding into this room as something is in a room beyond. And Thorgarn. Wait, Cantriel, was that the end of your turn? Any bonus actions or anything?
Then she's going to... Thorgarn, I think we need a little bit of your brute strength, and you're going to get the bardic inspiration. And it's a D8 now.
Awesome, thank you. All right, so there are 2 that are up close and personal with us now.
There's 2 that are in the middle of the room engaged with Talmud. Yes.
All right, well, I will move in and attack. All right, so that is a 13, a 14, and I'm going to use that inspiration on the other one to turn that one, because I rolled an 8 into a 21.
All of those are hits.
I'll give you the Warhammers first, because that's 4, 8. So that is 16 points of bludgeoning damage to the first one.
16? You break bones that turn to dust. The air is beginning to fill with bone dust, but he's not dead yet, or rather destroyed.
All right, and then 9 points of damage with the longsword.
That will finish him off.
Excellent.
Or it off.
Are you assuming the gender of the skeleton?
No, that's why I corrected myself.
I mean,
right.
that would be an investigation check to check the pelvis.
And is that the end of your turn, Thorgarn? Fig, you are up. The current state is there is 1 fighting skeleton in the middle of the room. There are 3, well, 2 and a third skeletons on the back wall, scrabbling, still trying to get away, and an eerie arcane blue light coming out of the northeast corner from what you can now see was apparently a hidden, a secret doorway that Cantriel shattered with her magic.
Fig is going to reach, it's going to try and reach into the little compartment that houses his wands, but he finds that he can't because his jacket is there. So he kind of fumbles around a little bit, and then he finally is able to reach inside his sleeve, and with another flourish takes out the wand of magic missiles, and he is going to aim 4 beams at the remaining skeletons that are left.
There are 4, so you're going to target all 4?
Yes.
1 each?
1 each.
All right, roll damage.
All right, and I pre-rolled that, so that's going to... so he's centering... The first one is going to hit the one closest to him, and then farther away. So it's going to go 5, 5, 4, and 3.
Your third shot takes that already partially destroyed skeleton and hits it center mass of its spine and shatters it. It collapses to the ground. Its partially shattered skull rolling across the floor. The others all take the damage, but are still standing. And that puts us back at the top of the order. Griveth.
All right, so the ones in the middle of the room are done, right?
One of them is still up and fighting.
Okay. And then there's still 3 on the back wall?
2.
2, okay. I'm gonna go around and go to the back 2.
Yeah, you can do that. There's enough room to maneuver around.
Okay. I draw Bradford's honor, ready to shatter the remains of these skeletons. And that's a 14.
That will hit.
Yay! Hooray! Only 6 points of damage.
That destroys that skeleton.
Yay!
As more bones break and more dust fills the air.
Go to your rest. Go to your rest. Ooh, that is a 27.
Yeah, that's a hit.
I think that hits.
That's a hit.
And that's better. That's 11 points of damage.
If that wasn't going to hit, I was leaving.
With another mighty swing of Sir Bradford's honor, you quickly dispatch the other skeleton. It was scrabbling so intensely at the wall that when you cut through and you separate it basically in half, it's the bones of the fingers for a moment are still grasping at the wall as it scrabbles and then kind of just falls in a cluttered heap to the ground.
One left, right?
Yes.
I'm done.
Talmud.
Talmud, finish him off.
There's the one next to you.
Talmud will do as he is bade. He will turn round on this thing with Gerta and attempt to end its life for a second time. That's a 10.
You want to re-roll?
You have 98 domain dice.
God, I don't know. There's so few.
Reroll, dwarf. I'm going to kick your ass.
That's like a punt. So that's a 20.
That's a hit. Is that a dirty 20?
It is dirty. Very dirty.
Okay.
You could clean it.
I could, but why?
He likes it dirty.
Said the elf with the smutty poetry book. The Faerunian whatever. I don't even know. I can't think of dirty limericks. I don't know.
The second swing is a 14.
That is also a hit.
Wunderbar.
Is it pointless to roll damage at this point in time?
It's never pointless to roll damage.
I like to let people roll their damage just to see how big a hit it is.
That's going to be 8 points.
So with that first swing, yeah, that's enough. Because it's vulnerable to the bludgeoning damage. You completely decimate this skeleton, breaking bones, sending pieces flying everywhere. Make me a perception check, Talmud. Okay.
7.
You sure you don't want to reroll that?
No, that's pretty on point for Talmud.
Yeah,
So-
yeah, but you could break the streak. There could be a
could.
reason.
That was like a running gag, though.
It's your call. You can let it stand.
Okay.
For
I'll
your
reroll.
you're re-rolling?
I'll reroll.
Give the people what they want.
That's a 21.
As you destroy this last skeleton and the pieces fall to the ground, Talmud, you notice two things. The first thing you notice is that the eerie blue glow that was sort of filling in the shadows of this room from that area in the corner had reached a point of brightness, and it has now dulled down. It's not nearly as bright. And in the waning light, at first you're not sure if it's a trick of the light or what, if it's just the shadows moving. But with that high of a perception roll, you realize that as this skeleton, as you shattered it, the pieces that fell, they for a moment seem to slow down. And they don't fall straight to the ground. As some of them fall, they sort of move away and sort of into a space halfway between where Griveth is and where you are. And Griveth, you notice around you the shattered skeletons. Their bones are quivering and shaking and rattling. And all of you in the room begin to hear the of bones sliding across the floor and slamming into one another, as all of these bone fragments from all 6 shattered skeletons are being magically coalesced into a point between Thorgarn, Talmud, and Griveth, and appear to be forming into something, some kind of a... Right now it just looks like a pile of broken bones.
Is there a source of this light?
The light was coming from the broken area just beyond.
So it's exterior to this room.
Yeah, it was a secondary room.
Can I peek in?
So you still have... You've only taken one attack action. Or one attack, right? You still have your movement. This has all happened in this instant.
Right.
So you still have movement. If you wanted to go investigate that area.
Yeah, definitely.
So it would take you only 15 feet to move towards there. And as you move to that corner, you see that the glow seems to sort of be centered on a vaguely humanoid shape, medium-sized, as you see now rising a hunched corpse wearing a pointed hat and dressed in a robe embroidered with mystic symbols.
Well, shit.
There is this, almost still retaining the light, this wispy, glowing beard seems to almost flow as if underwater from the skeletal figure. It raises its finger towards you and begins tracing arcane sigils in the air as you hear it whispering the words, "Secrets found and lost and found again, your paltry minds cannot fathom." And it is still your turn.
Griveth, I think we found a friend of yours. You should come say hi.
I'm taking care of the skeleton over here.
No, I think you should come over here now.
All right, so are you going to make any actions with the rest of your turn, or?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not going to waste an attack. So I already had Gerta out, so I'm going to drop Gerta and draw Ghost Cleaver and close the rest of the distance to this son of a lich and swing at him. Okay, that is a dirty 20.
That is going to hit.
Good. Okay. Yeah. Let's see. That is 16 points of damage.
All right.
Slashing, if it matters. Also magical, if it matters.
All right. And it is his turn. And he reaches up with both of his hands, and you see as it looks like round glass orbs appear in his hands. And you see that there's some sort of a sloshing liquid in them. And he takes both of his hands and he attempts to slam both of them up against you. So he's going to make 2 melee attacks against you. That's going to be a 12.
Everything okay in there, Talmud?
Nope, it's not. Your friend is very, very unkind.
The first is a 12, which I believe misses you. The second, it's a nat 1, but instead of where normally they open themselves to an opportunity attack, you see that his bones, he's moving slow. There's this creakiness about him, and he doesn't have the full range of movement that he's expecting, and so he misses you completely, slamming these 2 glass orbs together, and acid sprays all over his own arms. So he's going to take the acid damage himself.
Don't worry, that happens to everybody.
As you see part of his robes dissolving, and you notice as this happens that his on his forearms, the radius and the ulna, the 2 bones that make up the forearm, are gold. And Cantriel, Thorgarn, Fig, and Griveth, as this form is still coalescing, you notice now what you didn't notice in the heat of the battle, that several of the bone fragments, it appears that each one of the skeletons themselves had at least 1 rib that was made of gold. And your attention is drawn to them because these 6 ribs are beginning to form back into part of a much larger rib cage of some form that is taking shape from all of these bone fragments. And it is actually, it's their turn. So you watch as this swirling maelstrom of bones, it's a cacophony of bone against the walls, some of it not enough to hurt you, banging against you, but it's all just rattling together. And you watch as this swirling mass takes shape, and you see a large skeletal creature formed of bone fragments standing in front of you, and it is going to take 2 attacks. And it is going to attack once at Thorgarn and once at Griveth. And you can see that where all of these fragments have formed together in several places on it, bone fragments are sticking out like spiked protrusions. So it is going to make a melee attack against Thorgarn and against Griveth, and that is going to be a that would be a 16 to hit Thorgarn and a 16 to hit Griveth. Does it hit either of you?
Do you want to do anything about that, Griveth?
Yeah, deflect for Thorgarn.
You are opposite each other because you're against the wall where you killed those two skeletons. This skeletal behemoth is between the two of you.
All right, reroll.
Okay.
Use those dice. We have them.
So, Thorgarn, the new attack against you is still a 16. I rolled the exact same thing.
All right, well, it hits.
It missed me.
It is going to deal 11 points of bludgeoning damage and 1 point of piercing damage. As you get this massive skeletal fist slams into you. And it missed Griveth. Griveth, there's this sickening crunch as you raise your shield up. And you feel the strength behind this thing as you block it. And that sound rings through this small space. And it is now Cantriel's turn.
All right, seeing that this thing has coalesced together and that it's attacking her companions, she's going to draw out her Sempre Cavatina and she's going to whisper softly, "Swift death to you who have wronged me, only this time it's going to stick." And she's going to aim at this creature. Using the Oathbow factor. So, let's see here. Does a 23 hit?
I'm afraid. Yeah, it hits.
Yeah, it hits. Okay, so then this I have to do the math thing. Okay, so and so that's going to be 16 points piercing damage on the first. And then she gets another one. And so again, well, the 23 we know hits because I got another 16. Yay! And then that's going to be 15 points piercing.
All right. You see as your arrows hit this thing, big chunks of bone fragments go flying, almost as if shot by some kind of force damage. You do a very significant amount of damage to this thing. Is that the end of your turn? Thorgarn.
All right. So I used a die to re-roll, but my lowest attack is a 22 to hit.
Yeah, that's gonna hit, of course.
All right.
All right, I'm doing the domain dice math here.
All right, so that's 9, 17. Do you want slashing and bludgeoning
Always
differently? All right, so that is 17 points of bludgeoning and 7 points of slashing.
17 of bludgeoning?
And 7
right.
slashing.
Hold on. And then 7. Okay. Thorgarn, I'm going to let you describe how you quickly dispatch. I mean, Cantriel's strong arrow attacks helped, but you did, because it's vulnerable to bludgeoning, you did 34 points of bludgeoning damage to it, plus that last little bit was enough to put it over the top. What does it look like as you eliminate this thing shortly after it's risen?
So as the arrow kind of, I'm gonna assume that the arrow kind of shoots over top of my my tiny form, breezing the hair of my mohawk. As the warhammer comes in with the first strike, it shatters the leg the femur of one leg, and as it begins to topple, the sword comes in, smashing ribs through its center. Warhammer comes in for a final strike. All the ribs are now out of the way, and it just shatters the spine, and the bones just kind of collapse in the heap.
Excellent. You do still have this mysterious skeletal figure in the other room that remains. And it is your turn, Fig. You don't have eyes on that other figure yet, though, from where you are in this room. You know there's something in there because you saw Talmud go into the room, and he did call out to Griveth and said something about there being one of his friends.
Right, so Fig is going to curiously walk towards that room to see what it is or what Talmud was talking about.
Yeah, and you can definitely see this sort of almost stereotypical. Actually, make me a quick perception check, Fig. I'm gonna say do so with advantage.
Oh, thank God, that was a 5. Okay, that is going to be staying at a 5, which is a 7.
Okay. Yeah, so you see it's wearing these tattered but what look like some sort of wizard robes, a very outdated pointed wizard hat. It almost looks more like a witch's hat, and it has these sort of floating wisps of beard. And so it has gold forearms where acid ate away at its robes around the sleeves.
Right. So is Fig able to get within 60 feet of it?
You are already within 60 feet. By moving to the door, you are within about 10 feet of it.
Okay, perfect. So Fig takes off bits and pieces of his own body. It seems like little gears and cogs and springs. And once he has about a handful of them, he throws them towards this creature or this wizard, and begins to encircle him. And you can almost see this blue light emanating from these bits and pieces of cog until you can't even see the wizard in the center of these. And slowly but slowly these gears and springs start to coalesce around this wizard, and he needs to make a wisdom saving throw because I'm casting polymorph on him.
Oh, okay. I love the spell description. I pictured it very much like the Lego games where they're like quickly doing building stuff. And I'm sorry, what kind of spell save was that?
Wisdom.
So that is going to be a 10.
Awesome. So you see these cogs and everything just slowly come together more and more and more, and you see them going faster and faster and faster together. And if you would allow this like kind of narrative flavoring, once these things disappear, you see a little clockwork mouse.
I absolutely will allow that. I love the idea that Fig does clockwork versions of polymorphed things. That is now canon. I absolutely love it. Yes, there is now a small clockwork mouse at Talmud's feet.
Yeah, Talmud kind of takes a second to look back towards Fig. What?
It should be easier to deal with now.
That's an understatement.
Agree. Well done.
I don't know. You ever tried to catch a mouse?
So that's going to be... It would be back to Griveth at this point.
As a matter of fact, he has. So I imagine like Griveth, like Cantriel, like she's letting loose with those arrows. Bone shards are shattering off. Griveth is kind of ducking behind a shield, and bone shards are bouncing off his shield. And then Thorgarn like just pulverizes it with his weapon, and shards just go spraying against the wall. It's almost like a bone shard spray, and Griveth has to dodge behind his shield as the shards are everywhere. They're all over his armor and his hair, everywhere. And then he, after this whole exciting incident, he realized, oh, Talmud, so something's wrong. So he turns, he sees Fig doing his magic, and okay, this could be interesting. So so he he rushes into the room, Sir Bradford's honor ready, calling on Eldath to smite whatever this foul thing is. And he gets in there and he stops cold, and he looks down and he sees a mouse, a little toy mouse. And he looks at he looks at Talmud.
It wasn't a mouse just a second ago.
This is what you were calling me for?
No, it was not.
Just step on it already.
It's not really a mouse, I don't think. Just kill it.
If it looks like a mouse and it's the size of a mouse, just smush it.
So he takes Sir Bradford's honor and tries to stab it through the little mechanical mouse.
Okay. Make an attack.
All right.
Yeah, I gotta look up mouse.
Okay. That's a 21 to hit.
Well, it's definitely gonna hit. And
so would this thing have like the hit points of whatever the thing was, or how does that work?
Yeah, the way polymorph works is it has the hit points of and stats of whatever the thing is, and then any damage will carry over into, because it will revert back to itself once it hits 0. So being a mouse, it only has 1 hit point. So go ahead and roll your damage.
Okay. So when I hit it, it'll take the 1 hit point, turn back, and then it'll take the rest of the hit points.
Basically, as it's polymorphing back to itself, it's going to take the additional damage.
Okay. So I am going to take the word of my companions. I feel a little funny doing this, but I'm going to take the word of my companions, and I am going to smite this mouse.
Okay.
I am calling the power of Eldath to smite this little toy mouse. Okay. 27 points of damage.
Okay, so 27 points of damage, 26 of which is going to go back into this form. And I kid you not, the exact number of hit points remaining was 26. I'm looking at what I wrote here from the previous damage. I'm like, wait, this, yep. So basically, Griveth, just kind of confused but trusting the Dawnbringers, brings Sir Bradford's honor down, and Griveth, you watch as you easily pierce through this little mechanical mouse. You watch as there's a surprising explosion of gears that swirls in a way you didn't see previously. And you watch as this skeletal figure rises up forth and begins to like claw at you with these golden arms, and just sort of withers and disintegrates into bone and dust and a couple of golden bones. This time, as the bones collapse to the ground, they stay unmoving. And you are now out of combat.
There now. That wasn't so bad.
You've been Eldathed.
And the room you are in is just as big as the room you came from. So you basically walked into these rooms and started attacking. So you do have 2 rooms that you can fully investigate, plus the body of the skeletal figure.
So, is the blue glow still happening?
Holy... Okay,
What?
thanks, Spike.
What just happened?
Thank you, Spike. Spike just gifted 10 subs to the channel. So there's going to be a few notifications as 10 people in the stream are going to be getting subscriptions for 1 month. Which, of course, I can't see how many domain dice you have. Okay, 90. So that means you're just going to bump that up to 100. That is 10 domain dice. Thank you, Spike, so much for gifting that. Each one of those people that are now subscribed to the channel also gets the benefits of subscribers, the subscriber icon next to your name, and you get access to the emotes. And I will have to check after the stream, but I think, Spike, that you have pushed us over what we needed to reach the next emote, because we had a tier 2 sub that was gifted on Monday that was worth 2 points, so we were only 5 points away. So we should be over by 5 points, which means I will be working on a new domain die emote for the channel. I actually think I already have the graphic for it. So thank you again, Spike, for that awesome gift to the channel, to everybody that is benefiting from that. I couldn't keep up with all of it, but if you look in the chat, it looks like there's quite a few notifications saying who is the beneficiary of those subscriptions. That's always awesome. I love when you give in that way. That is so cool. Sorry, I see.
All right, can I just point out that Jeremy put in our Zoom chat, is it ham? And
yes. Maybe it should be a ham bone.
I mean,
I'll tell you what, we've still got a little bit left in this game as they are exploring and figuring out what kind of loot they can find. While that's happening, I would like all of you in the chat to vote now in all capital letters. Don't type domain, because every time you do, you're going to trigger the big block of text. Type ham or die. No, don't type die. Type dice.
Ham or die?
No, D20. Ham or D20. Cast your vote in the chat now, and we'll see. If ham wins, I'll be making a little ham bone emote, which is going to be really confusing to the non-Dawnbringers fans. Okay.
I think ham or die needs to be the next Dawnbringer shirt.
I was going to say
ham or
that
die.
actually would be
Okay.
appropriate.
I'm in the process, so this is a good point to announce. I'm in the process of migrating the MTD merch store to Teespring. They have a lot more size options and really good quality. And I was looking for some new shirt ideas, and there we go. Ham or die. I've written that down on my notes.
I need this as a shirt.
I'm going to make it work. I'm going to make it work. I kind of, for some reason, I picture it as a classic, like 8-bit ham hock. So I will be working on that. Okay. While the voting is happening, you have in the first room, you have all of the I'm not going to make you investigate because there's really nothing in there except for the bone fragments and 6 golden ribs that are worth 5 gold pieces each. Anybody who picks up gold ribs, give me an investigation check.
That's an 11. Should I reroll that?
I got a 16 on the die, so it's.
I'd say after what Spike did, yeah, absolutely reroll.
Talmud. Talmud actually has high enough that you can.
For a total of 15.
That's still high enough.
My reroll is a 19.
Okay. But Thorgarn, you can definitely corroborate this. As you pick these bones up, they do not feel as heavy as a solid gold rib bone should feel. And you can see from your combat that though these rib bones appear golden, it looks as though they were simply dipped in gold. In the other room, there is. I have so many. I literally have 10 D&D Beyond tabs open right now. So I've got to find. Okay, here we are. So the room you are in, there is a bench that runs down the west wall of what seems to be, this room appears to be some sort of laboratory. On the bench are jars of powders and liquids and several pieces of chemical apparatus. There's a table against the south wall forming an L shape with the bench, and a book is open on the table. Also on the table is a candlestick with a tiny stump of unlit candle still in it, and a variety of other items that, even in the dim light, shine with the warmth of pure gold. One of these objects looks like a human skull.
So Fig grabs that one.
Also the body
is on that whole desk.
Also the body that is lying at your feet does have those old robes, and there appears to be a bag around the waist and a small stone that fell out of a pocket when it landed. The stone appears to have a arcane sigil carved into it.
Is the hat there?
Yeah, it's pretty ratty, but it's there.
Fig wants the hat, and he is going to put it on.
So Fig, now that you're not in combat anymore, and you can look at this without it attacking you, you can actually see that both the hat and the tattered robes are of a style that you are familiar with. That it was not uncommon for people who practice the arcane arts from before you spent your long slumber underwater to wear. This appears to be a very old skeleton.
Hey, Fig, can I see that hat for a second?
It takes a moment. Fig is a little less than keen, but he would eventually give it over to you.
So when Fig hands it over, Thorgarn, slips into his celestial speech, and I cast mending on it to repair some of the holes. And
yeah, because I was going to if you weren't.
So I'm going to do something here just because it's fun. As you take the hat back, Fig, you notice that it is repaired, and it's a very cool looking hat. It's got that hipster edge to it. But you also notice that as you kind of, I don't know, I do this all the time. Before you put a hat on your head, a lot of times you just sort of look at the inside of it. Me personally, I'm making sure there's no spiders in it. Or scorpions or whatever else. I live in Michigan. I don't have to worry about scorpions, but it's just a habit. You look inside. You look at this hat and you notice that it seems to, you almost can't focus on the interior of the hat. It seems like it has a greater depth inside it. You stick your hand in there?
Of course. What other option is there?
You reach your hand into this hat and your arm reaches all the way to the shoulder without emerging from the other side.
You see that Fig he has this hat here, and he looks to the hat and he looks to the rest of the party.
No, Fig, it goes on your head.
Fig, are you bending your arm?
That's an interesting trick.
How are you doing that, dear?
No, this hat seems to defy all spatial logic, and it goes farther beyond.
Are you telling me that your hat is larger than it appears?
I believe so, yes.
So, for all intents and purposes, you have a hat of holding.
Shut up!
So, the sack that I just said was, you can thank Spike for this one, because the hat was just a hat, but suddenly you wanted it so bad, and this figure did have a bag of holding on its person. I just decided, since Spike said magic hat in the chat, that that I would combine the two of them. So your hat is a standard bag of holding. It has the usual capacities and functionality, but now you can actually reach into a magic hat and pull stuff out.
This is so perfect for Fig, though.
That is awesome.
Fig immediately, he's going to like extend his body a lot, where you would normally see where he keeps his book, and you can see that he has kept his book, a couple of other books, maybe some bones in there, some pieces of rocks, just like anything that he has found interesting is in his abdomen, and he just starts taking it out and putting it into his hat.
Hey, Fig, before you do that, should we try and see if there's anything that dude put in there?
You want him to go looking in his hat?
That is a wonderful idea, Thorgarn.
If it's got more space in it, how
Do we need to hold him by the heels just to make sure he doesn't fall in?
I've heard sometimes there's spiders or scorpions in them.
Yeah, you gotta be careful.
Nice.
It was fun until you left, Jake. Damn it.
But I mean, there could
Fig is going to look.
There could be treasure or something in there.
Fig, you pull your, basically kind of pull the hat down, and you kind of you see Fig's whole head as the hat goes thunk down to his shoulders. And fortunately you don't need to breathe, so it doesn't affect you. That there is no air in there. But other than what you put into this hat, it was empty. So, you do have that now, and there was the rock with the arcane sigil that was lying on the ground. That's just what was immediately next to this dude.
So can I look at, you said there was like a long table or something?
Initially, Fig was going there, but Fig got distracted by the hat. So, yeah. So, you go to the table where there is a book that is open. The book is entitled Ye Secret of Ye Philosopher's Stone. No author is acknowledged. It is written in common, but the language is written in such a high level of thinking and talk with lots of long words, and it's an archaic form of speaking that it is very difficult, particularly for you, Thorgarn, to make sense of what the subject matter is of this book.
I've had, more than my fair share of time at the temple being forced to read. I mean, there was a time that I was a, even littler than I am now, acolyte. So I've got a little bit more tolerance for that stuff than my cousin over there. But it's still probably, pushing his boundaries.
Just for fun, give me an Arcana check.
An Arcana check, you.
Everything okay there, Thorgarn?
That is a 17.
Even with that, you definitely know some of these words. You've just never read them in that order or used in that way. And you get the sense that this thick tome, I mean, the words are very small and there's a lot of pages. It would take hours of reading through this to get a sense of what it's truly about. You might be able to deduce a bit from the items around the book. There is a human skull of gold, a golden apple, a golden rose, and a set of 5 small discs that are also golden that appear to be balance weights.
Cantriel totally is taking the rose.
All right, you have
an apple, rose, skull, and 5 discs?
Yep. Each item is worth 5 gold pieces, including each of the 5 discs, except for the skull that is worth 20 gold pieces. There are also several stacks of gold coins on the table, totaling 200 gold pieces. Anything further will require additional investigation checks.
Hey, Fig, I think most of the stuff over here is outside of my realm of knowledge and expertise. You might want to take a look. And I will go ahead and continue looking if nobody else wants to jump in.
Fig, you can make an Arcana check if you wish.
Yeah, Fig wants to also check out the book, saying to Thorgarn, I'll tell you any of information I can find.
Could Cantriel look on and give him advantage, or
Help?
help? Yeah.
Sure.
What's
Cool.
your investigate?
For Arcana?
Oh no, she's helping.
okay.
She's helping
Oh,
Fig.
sorry.
Yeah. I mean, I've got a +9 on Arcana, so.
I got a 26 on Arcana.
Okay, so with that, you are able to piece together. In part, it's because the way some of the language is used is much like the clothing. It's a bit archaic, but then again, so are you. So to you, this feels very normal. It's familiar. Again,
I feel like also there's like parallels between the book that his master wrote and these wording as well. Like maybe some of the wording is the same.
yeah, you get the sense that, this is the language of arcane, people who study the arcane. Though the subject matter of this book, you are able to determine this does appear to deal with alchemy. And with the addition of the items around you, it seems that this person that you have taken care of was studying alchemy and quite possibly had created a philosopher's stone by which to turn ordinary objects into gold. With that high of an Arcana roll, you can surmise that the stone that fell next to his body with the arcane symbol on it may be this very philosopher's stone.
Fig would relay this kind of information to the others, but he would also keep the tome to keep on reading.
Someone pick up that stone right now.
So we can use this rock to make gold. Why on earth are pirates taking people when they can just make gold?
Chances are they don't know this is even here.
That's a
would be
good
my
question.
guess.
Do they not come up into this?
Could we turn the pirates into gold?
We could turn their ship into gold.
That's even better. Then they can't leave.
Do they not
Wouldn't
come up
the
into
ship
this
sink,
area?
though?
Maybe they don't know these. I don't know.
This particular room, until Cantriel blasted the wall apart, it was a hidden compartment.
Hell, I don't
Right.
feel
Oh,
so bad.
That's right. That's right.
Thorgarn, give me the investigation check.
That is a 16.
You, as you're looking around the rest of the stuff at the table, you find, where did it go? Again, with these 10 windows open. You find, you're looking around and you find that one, you realize that some of the chemical apparatuses and stuff that are on this table are probably worth something. Probably about 20 or 30 gold pieces for everything. It's like, balance scales and some of those various jars and bottles and with the substance is long since dried up. But you also discover that as you are looking through the drawers and just finding bits and pieces of odds and ends, one of the drawers, when you open it, you notice has a secondary drawer that was almost not visible. But being a dwarf, you're at a lower height, you could see the edge of it. And so you pull the secondary drawer out and you find another book.
Oh.
This is all about getting Fig more learning.
Pigs love learning.
Looking inside this book, you see that this book is a bound in a faded blue leather with silver embossing on it. And this appears to include, much of the pages appear to have been burned away by acid.
Aww.
But there are 4 spells in this book. Those spells, and you guys are going to need to write this down. Whoever copies the spell, I guess whoever has that ability can do it. If they can learn these spells. Dancing Lights, Comprehend Languages, Tensor's Floating Disc, and Shatter, which Cantriel we know already has. Did you get those?
Yep.
Okay. And Cantriel,
Yes.
the stone that you found is as you pick it up, it is flat. It's gray and black. It looks a lot like a river stone, and it is inscribed with an unknown arcane symbol, and it feels very cool to the touch. While you are carrying this stone,
Uh-oh.
you can gain advantage on one ability check of your choice.
Really? Okay.
Once per day.
Ability check of choice 1 time a day. Okay.
So basically, you can, so this is essentially an item that in order to use it, you will have to be attuned to it.
Okay.
You automatically attune to it. So in your inventory manager, go ahead and add Luck Stone.
Is this a custom item then?
Nope.
No?
Luck Stone is a magic item.
Ooh. Well, let's go.
Actually, you know what, though? I think the Luck Stone, the way it's written, is different.
Let me look up and see.
Actually, I'm going to go into your character sheet a minute.
I just found a cursed luck stone.
Yeah, there you go. Add that to your sheet, because that is actually what you have.
Okay.
I was going to add it for you and let you discover that.
Okay.
So you do, I think it does tell you what its cursed property is.
Yeah, I'm just about to look at. Oh, great.
What is it with you picking up the cursed
I was
items?
gonna say, why I can find the cursed things?
So
Damn it.
this item, you cannot get rid of it, much like the coin you now possess.
I
And
can't get rid of these things.
if you use its magic
Yep.
to gain advantage, you will have disadvantage on your next 2
Next
ability
2.
checks after that.
God damn it.
And it will take a remove curse to get this cursed item away from you.
Beautiful.
Also, not to be too meta, but should we be looking for a phylactery? Because I kind of feel like we should be looking for a phylactery.
Is there phylactery? Do the phylactery.
Would Talmud know what a phylactery is?
Absolutely not. And that's why I'm hedging this with it. I'm leaving it to someone else to bring up.
I would say Cantriel,
Hi.
Fig, and actually everybody but Talmud.
Yeah, that makes
Now that I think about it, everybody but Talmud, make an insight check. And I want you to add your Arcana score to that as well.
Oh, 16.
Cantriel, are you going to use your luck stone to get advantage on this?
I don't think I need to.
That's mean.
I don't think I need to because I just got a 26.
I got a 25.
I also got a 25.
Wow.
Thorgarn, what did you
Damn.
get?
16.
So, Thorgarn, you're just kind of looking around at what everybody else is surmising and just kind of nodding in agreement. you don't genuinely know this. The DC for this check was a 20, by the way.
I figured it was high.
Cantriel, Griveth, and Fig, you all surmise that this individual was probably some old alchemist that used to live here, and though he appeared to be dabbling in alchemy and trying to turn things into gold, based on just the levels of the spells you found in the hidden spell book, he was a very low-level magic user, and it is unlikely that he is to pose any threat. And with those highest scores, I can tell you that you feel this with confidence. So, in classic Dawnbringers fashion, you have this session gone through 3 rooms. You never did go investigate the secret door by the fireplace. So, and you know there's at least one other secret door in that chamber that Teo, the second of the crew of the slavers that you let go, though this one was convinced a bit more with torture.
So he said there's one in the fireplace. Where was the other one?
Southwest corner. And Fig basically got a new skin. Like in a video game, Fig. Fig got a new hat, a new jacket, a bunch of new books.
I want a picture. I want like someone to draw Fig this way. This sounds
I
so
love this idea
cool.
of Fig with this oilskin jacket with the iridescent green trim and this hat of holding, this magic hat of holding. And Megan, I will if you want to just add a bag of holding for now, I'll go in and create the hat of holding as a custom item and add that in to your inventory. I'll replace it.
But what you've got the ability to do now is every time you screw up a roll, it could just be because the hat falls down over your face.
That's amazing.
I love that every once in a while Fig's hat just goes thump. And we have established unintentionally this was a very Fig-centric session because we also established that it is canon now when Fig polymorphs that they turn into clockwork versions of whatever beast that he turns them into. So though I haven't said the word yet, I'm going to now. That is where we are going to end today's session of the Dawnbringers. I believe I haven't checked the. Oh no, Aris just got here. You'll have to watch the VOD.
Yeah.
It totally makes sense, by the way, that Fig's head would occasionally get sucked into the holding because he's technically an object being
yes
past the brim.
And the nice thing is, whenever Megan's not here and Fig goes into transform mode, Fig can just go into the hat and be carried around because he doesn't need to breathe. Look at that.
That's true.
I'll say for those DMs and people in the chat,
I'm doing it right now with my Gearforge.
that those of you that I haven't done this in a while, but when talking about making things up on the fly, that was in the moment. I mean, it was canon. It was written in the module that the alchemist had a bag of holding. But as soon as Megan's character went for that hat, I was like, okay, yes. And with Spike's nudge he just simply said magic hat, but I decided on the fly to combine the 2 items. It doesn't really make anything more advantageous, really. It just makes for a really cool item for a character that they otherwise would have had a meaningless hat and a bag of holding. So, yeah. So I do want to say absolutely huge thank you to everybody who tuned in tonight. It's hard for me to keep up with what's going on in the chat, but you guys got that handled. I love that there's so much going on in the chat and people are talking and doing things. Thank you to Spike for gifting 10 tier 1 subs to so many people in the chat. Thank you to Spike also for the 1,000-bit cheer. Thank you to Tamiko for resubbing for 9 months. Before we go, we need to look back at the chat and look at our poll. It looks like we have Ham, Dice, Ham, D20, D20. No, wait. Quinian voted twice, once with Dice and once with D20. So it's D20, D20. Both ideas, so that's a vote for each. Ham, Die. That puts Ham in the lead. And we're going to combine it anyway with the whole Ham or Die. So I'll see if I can make it into an emote with both icons. But at the very least, we are going to get a Ham or Die t-shirt out of this in the very, very near future. So thank you everybody for participating in that little poll as well. Thank you all so much. I know more than one of us said before we went on the air tonight that we needed this game tonight. I think all of us are seeing the Dawnbringers game as a sort of refuge. We've said this before. For so many of us, there's times when you feel down, depressed, and you just think, wow, I just can't even. But for me, this is when I feel that way. It's like, I really need to play this game. Not it's the opposite feeling. So I'm glad we could all be together again today for another fun and awesome game of Dungeons & Dragons. This was episode 10, Smugglers Run, of the Dawnbringers Ghosts of Saltmarsh Season 3. Thank you, Scotty, V, Megan, Ted, and Jeremy. I love you all so much. I love that we spend our time together in this way. And to all of you watching, we love you as well. And we're going to go ahead and we're going to end the stream. We're going to end it the same way we end every stream, and you can say it with me if you want.